So I'm going for my sixth choice without the wild card. Okay.
What we got?
And I can't pronounce. I don't know if I can pronounce the name of the record properly. It's from a Canadian band.
Okay.
It's a prog rock band, but they come from this like DIY anarchist background,
Okay.
but they're really good because this is like a mini orchestra, and
Okay.
they're one of my favorite bands ever in that kind of I don't know, post rock genre.
Outstanding. What do you got for me?
So I've got, I don't know exactly when this came out. Just let me check quickly. 97. I heard it for the first time a little bit later. I was already in 2000s when I heard about them and this record. But it's F.A. Infinity from Godspeed You Black Emperor.
Yes.
And this first track, it's like the hugest intro I ever heard in my life, that has like this kind of train sound going back, and then you have this spoken word, which is amazing. And it starts, the car is on fire and there's no one in the streets. I think it's something like that. And then it starts going, and the whole tension of the music building up with just
Ah,
one single note from, I don't know, a cello, and it all, because they're really a mini orchestra. They have drums and guitar
mhm.
and bass, but the rest of the instruments are like orchestra instruments, like more orchestra instruments. And this was like, I think it wasn't the first record I heard from them, and it's not my favorite, but this is how you should start a good record as this one. And actually I'm just waiting to get paid to get a copy, because I just found out they have like hundreds of different editions of it, and you can get a decent copy like
Oh, that's
for a
awesome,
cheap
man.
price in here. And I really want one because it's amazing. So this was like my sixth choice, and
That's a
I
really
fucking
great and
love this band, man.
surprising pick. It's
Yeah,
certainly not a band that I think a lot of people would think about, but Godspeed's Black Emperor is it's an amazing band that does that kind of progressive, almost noise
yeah, they can get
thing with the
really heavy
orchestra. Oh
sometimes.
God, yeah. There's points where,
The
especially
build
when the
up from the
orchestra kicks
drums,
in,
man.
it's like bone. It's like
Yeah,
bone rattling heavy.
yeah, they're really, really good. So this was like, I remember it was a friend of mine in Portugal, and he was doing this work about World War II, and this was his soundtrack. It
That's
was
awesome.
Godspeed You Black Emperor. It was this and the next EP, Slow Riot for New Zero Canada, which is just one track divided into like 30 minutes, and it's brilliant. And that was the first thing I heard from them, and then I heard this one. But the intro that lasts, I don't know, probably 11 minutes or something, it's something out of this world, man.
It
It
really
really,
is.
they really grip you, and you go for a journey every time you listen to a record from them or you go to watch a show. So this was one of my, I knew this has had to be on the list for sure, man. So there you go.
Well, we certainly shift extremes here. You go from God Save You Black Emperor to where I'm going with this,
Go ahead.
and it's a very different record, that's for sure. 2003, my buddy showed me this. We were at Fort Hood here in Texas at the time. We were going through. We were changing aircraft when I was with the Army. Which we were going from the Apache Longbow or the Apache Alpha model attack helicopter to the Longbow model, and we were out doing a bunch of. We were just getting back to the field, so we were cleaning all of our gear, get everything packed. My buddy goes, "Here, check this record out." And I heard the opening track. I heard this kind of very stratty, like jangly opening strummed guitar riff, and I'm listening to it, going, "Man, this is really good." And the vocals kick in. Dude has this beautiful, deeper voice, and the chorus. It's so catchy. The band is Revis. The record is Places for Breathing, and the opening track is called Caught in the Rain. It's just a beautiful, like wistful love song that opens this fantastic alt rock record up, one of my favorite records of 2003, regardless of genre. A record that just turned 20 years old that I still listen to probably once a week. It's just so strong, track by track by track by track by track. And if I want to listen to an alt rock record, it's one of the ones that I go to. And it's just different. It's more lower register singer, which I really like lower register singers. We've already had a few on here with Matt Barlow and such, and there's a couple more on here for that matter. Just well-crafted, well-written songs. And they just finally started putting up new music for the first time on,
I heard about it. Yeah, I have to check them out
Spotify.
Again.
Yeah, they just put up a couple of tracks.
I don't listen to that for a long, long time. You're giving me a lot of suggestions just to go back and re-listen to the bands and the albums again, man.
I covered this on the channel a while ago too. I went and ran through the record. I love this record. It's one that stayed with me for the past 20 years. I bought a couple of copies of it over the years, and it's just if you want a great, fantastic journey of a rock record with fantastic songs, great lyrics, and different things, like it's a really good one to go to. And I feel like it's a very easy record to listen to. It doesn't require a whole lot of effort. Like
that's the
Godspeed You Black Emperor is a fantastic band, but it takes effort to process.
You have to be in the mood to listen to it.
Sometimes I just want to listen to something that I can connect with right off the bat, and this is one of those records for me.
Cool, great choice. Man, you're just giving me so many good suggestions just to go back and re-listen to those bands, man. That's really, really cool. I wasn't expecting anything that you just said, to be honest. Okay,
man, I love it. But that's what makes doing these videos with you so much fun.
Yeah, exactly. I knew I had to put, well, I skipped one, actually. And I have to go back. I just found out. So Godspeed was supposed to be my 7th choice.
Okay.
My 6th choice that I skipped. It's obvious for you because we already spoke so much about this one. And this one is for obvious reasons. If you know the record and you know how it starts, it's all said and done, which is Get Some from Snot. You can get better than that. A guy just asking another guy, say something for the record, tell the people what you feel, fuck the record and fuck the people, and then you start with that great first track, Snot, man. And it's a whole journey. And it also, the last track, My Balls Your Chin, it's fucking amazing, man. Those guys are just the perfect mix between, I don't know, groove metal, kind of the groove metal vibe, and a really the thrash metal attitude,
right?
Because that's what you get. Yeah, I never saw them live. You saw them live a couple of times.
I did.
So you probably tell me that it was quite energetic between
really.
You were seeing them and hardcore concert, and that was it, man.
Seeing them on the second stage on Ozfest of '98. Those dudes were just all over the place. So energetic, so much piss and vinegar and vitriol. Just they're just a crowd pleaser, man. They were just, especially even the second stage at Ozfest was a big stage. So those guys were just using every bit of real estate they had available.
It was that kind of thing. They could have gone to a serious message and they just fucked it up. Their lyrics are just having fun, basically. They're not that too much serious lyrics. Besides one or two, if you go towards that way. But besides that, the whole record has like this party vibe, which is really, really cool. It's really, really cool, man.
The first introduction to them I had was getting the Ozfest 97 CD sampler, which had I Just Lied on it, and that was the very first track from them that I'd ever heard. And like you said, it's just this like very party frat boy in your face, not taking themselves seriously vibe at all, and it leads to energetic, crushing, fun songs. And
completely, man.
We unfortunately in that time frame we lost two amazing musicians, two amazing singers from great bands really close together, because right around that time, 97, you lost
You're talking
Bradley
about
Knowles. You lost Bradley Knoll from Sublime, and then you
exactly.
lost
Yeah,
the
that
singer,
was the
and
guy
then
I
you
was
lost Lynn
thinking
Straight
about.
not too
Yeah,
long after that.
yeah, they were kind of very similar in terms of
Pretty
attitude.
close,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
so you lose these hard before the time,
Yeah.
and they're responsible for utterly incorrect records. But it's not such a that debut is just
It's just amazing. It's perfect, man.
it's
You
a
can
it's a
get better than that.
fantastic record, man.
Can
And they
get
didn't take
much better.
themselves seriously.
And it was his voice, to be
Oh,
honest with you.
the
At that point
delivery.
in time, I only knew a guy who could scream and sing at the same time, which was Phil Anselmo from Pantera. And this is a very, very much different thing. Like that kind of it's more. I learned later that it's not that. It's just singing with a harsher voice, which is easier in terms if you want to get to that kind of stage of singing. You don't start shouting and then put the singing over it. That's not how you do. You start singing and then it gets harder and harder sometimes.
Absolutely.
And
Man,
that was, you have to be born with that voice already. There's not too much tricks about it. But his voice, man, he would scream. You had a guy screaming, but he wasn't actually screaming. It was his voice singing.
yeah.
And it could get to the point so aggressive that he would forget this guy singing. This guy's just screaming on his lungs, and it's so amazing.
No technique.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
It's really, really cool. Let's go for your eighth. Is it we're going for the seventh choice? Yeah.
Man, were you just trying to set me up for success or what?
I don't know.
Well, you set me up. You said other than Phil Anselmo.
Kind of, yeah. Well,
you said other than Phil Anselmo. Well, guess what?
I knew back then, yeah.
Well, guess what? My number 7's a Pantera record. So you set me up brilliantly, brother.
This wasn't planned. This
wasn't planned at all. This wasn't planned at all, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. He sent me his list and I didn't even look at it. Like, I didn't want to know until we had this conversation, ladies and gentlemen who are watching this later on. Not planned, not scripted, because you wouldn't believe us. You would cut through it and see otherwise. But 1996.
Oh gosh, yeah. Go ahead.
The Great Southern Trendkill.
I almost put that one.
Oh, it was so hard to choose between Vulgar, and Mouth for War, or just Great Southern Trendkill. But my God, the Great Southern Trendkill is such a freaking record, and
that's how you shouldn't start a record if you want to sell a lot.
It's like how you shouldn't start a record, sell a lot. Yet spitting in the eye and flying that big old Texas middle finger in the face of, well, you shouldn't start a record that way, and then the record sells a load of copies, right? You shouldn't start a record that way in the record industry. If you want to sell records, they fly that big old middle finger and say, fuck you, we're going to start this record with a record shitting all over the treadnoids of the industry. And it's going to sell a bunch of records and make a bunch of people really pissed off.
Yeah.
And win us even more fans. And we're going to go on tour again with freaking White Zombie and the damn Deftones. And we're going to be on Ozfest 97. They come off the success of Far Beyond Driven.
Yeah,
and they could have gone alternative. They could have gone any way they wanted to.
Yeah, and they just
instead
all that down the toilet.
Instead, they decided to go, "Fuck you, we're going to go heavier. We're going to go heavier."
That was a slap in the face for lots of people I know, and nowadays it might be one of the favorite records from the 90s. But everyone had the same reaction when they put the CD on, and it starts, and it goes
just from the very start. I mean, it's just that guitar riff and just that full balls out to the wall. I've just put my scrotum on your head, screamed in your face, nasty drum work, and then you get a little bit of a break when they slide into that opening riff groove.
Man,
and
it's such a heavy and fast record, and then you have like
Yeah.
some tracks.
Oh
Like
God,
the third or fourth track,
Tens, track 3.
Yeah, Tens. It's amazing, man.
Tens to me is one of
amazing,
the best solos that Dimebag ever put on a record. Is the solo to Tens, followed very closely by the solo to Floods off the same record. But like you have these
really
three
good,
tracks that are the first 2 tracks that are aggressive, they're hard hitting, they're in your face. Like War Nerve is so nasty at number 2 that you get this big Texas groove in track 3 with Drag the Waters.
Yeah. I used to do a cover of War Nerve.
Oh God. What an aggressive monster that is.
Doesn't have a solo. So that was it. We could do that one live.
What a monster track that is too from a musical standpoint. It's so freaking heavy. And then Tens at 4 though, they slow it down and they hit you with this like sludgy, swampy, almost like tripped out on acid high and groove.
The singing in it.
Oh,
like, that is the one who is sing where he sings "My Foes," isn't it? My foes. Oh God!
You can't destroy my body. Yeah.
That is so like 70s felt like those kind of bands that he really loves.
Because you've got that riff, just that do 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 do, wow. And that vocal is so perfectly placed on top of that instrumentation, and then just an utterly fantastic solo. But then you get into the rest of the record, and you've got both Suicide Notes, which are just
yeah.
I mean that like slow decay into the that's it. I'm Suicide Notes Part 2. I mean that's it. I'm not contemplating it anymore. I'm doing it, and it's just it gets you so emotionally committed to that track. And then Living Through Me, Hell's Wrath. Right after it,
the last track is the perfect ending for an album like that, man. It's so good. It has it's the one who has the bigger name. The Underground Thing is in it.
Sandblasted Skin. Or you get Underground in America at 11. You get Sandblasted Skin, and just
so good. I totally agree with you. Fucking great choice, man.
That was a record that I jumped, as I said last video, I jumped on my bike. I rode up to the record store. I threw down my hard-earned cash, got home, slapped that sucker in my CD player, cracked the freaking volume, and hit play, and just yes,
exactly.
And the whole record, you're just holding on for freaking dear life. It's like you're holding on. It's like you're trying to ride that freaking rodeo bull for 8 seconds. You're just clinched.
Yep.
Getting through that record. Great record. Love that record. I'm glad you enjoy that one as much as I do. That Biggie is at 16 years old when I got it. It was another one of those records that was really influential.
It almost made my list. It was on my list like 2 or 3 days ago. Then I decided, there's more records than I want to put on this list. A second and a third part.
Well, there I covered you on that one, man. Yeah. You made it onto mine, so we still got to talk about it.
You have to do it. So I don't know where I am. 8th. We going for my 8th choice. Okay, this one is from '98, but I already heard this on 2000 and something, probably 2004, something like it, when I was starting to get into more post-core things like Converge, ISIS, that kind of stuff. And these guys were already a little bit different when I heard this record for the first time. And it was produced by the guitar player from Converge, Kurt Ballou. Which I think is a fucking genius.
He's honestly. A beast, man. His compositions are incredible.
And he produces. He's probably one of my best music producers in terms of post-core or post-metal thing, whatever you want to call it. Right. This record is from a band called Cave In. Until Your Heart Stops. And this is a completely different. This was their first record, I think. They had only EPs or compilation with some singles. That was it. This was the first record, and this is heavy as shit, man. This starts heavier than Slayer, probably. The riff that starts this record, it's kind of a Slayer kind of vibe thing, but the whole feeling of the record, I can't describe it to you. It's so heavy, and sometimes it makes you think this sounds me like Pink Floyd.
Mm.
That's how the record goes. And
Yeah, it's
but the beginning of the record starts with this riff. No, 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 and it goes like really, really aggressive. There's no singing.
right.
There's only a little bit of spoken words. Uh, but most of it is just shouting. The guy shouting from his lungs. And this was the best lineup for me for this band. After this, they just become like really popish,
Yeah,
kind
it
of
did.
uh, went into a total different thing, like quite commercial. And I think it was because the label they signed in. I think that was it. But this record is heavy as fuck and can make you go. It's not a prog rock or a prog metal record, and it has sometimes that kind of moments. I don't
Right.
know what they do it, how they do it, but it's one of my all-time list. It must cost like 200 or 300 quid right now in second hand plus
Mm.
shipping, but it's still on my I still want one copy of this on vinyl, man. This is one. Even the CD is hard to get, to be honest with you. Even the CD, the CD version is really, really hard to get. And this is like, usually I know lots of people who are into cave-in sound, and they
Right.
don't know this record. Then no one knows this fucking record, and it's like, this is the one you should be listening to, because this is what they should have done for the rest of their career. If they haven't signed with anyone, I can barely imagine what they could have become. You have to listen to this record if you don't know it. It's just quite a journey. I don't know how to describe it to you, but the first four tracks, whenever I do a list with those kind of songs that I still listen to, those four have to be there for sure, man. You have to give it a check. If anyone is watching this and don't know this record from Kevin, Until Your Heart Stops, that's it, man.
It's
You
one I'm
have
going to
to,
have to go back to. It's been a while.
yeah, it's really, really good, man. It's really, really good. So that was my choice. I had one choice you didn't know.
Oh yeah, I mean I've heard it, but not. It's been so long. It was more of
That
a
was cool. That
passing
was
as
cool.
opposed to actually. This is a
Yeah,
record that I haven't owned.
yeah.
Ah,
You, it's
This
your turn, man.
one,
It's your turn.
this one was hard. Like I knew this band was going to be on my list, without a doubt. They were going to be here, but I agonized over which record. Which record was it going to be? And really, it was a choice between two.
Okay,
And
fair enough.
though I will say, the record I was gonna go with from these guys actually made it on my buddy Rob's list, who we'll talk about. We'll just run through briefly at the end. So it's represented, but it was so hard for me to choose between these two records. But I did. I made a decision. It's a newer record.
Cool.
Comes from 2019. It wound up on the channel, and I got some great feedback from the singer himself, who's one of my favorite vocalists. This goes to Sweden. We go to the mighty Evergrey, and we go to A Silent Arc, the lead track off the Atlantic record from 2019.
I already heard it, but I can't remember.
Oh my God. One, how do you open with a dynamic, progressive, moving track that's 7 minutes and 43 seconds as your opener? It's part 3 of a 4-part record, of a 4-album concept, which they originally started with Hymns for the Broken in 2015, and which is the element of fire. And then they went with The Storm Within, which was the element of air, and the Atlantic is the element of water.
That's really cool.
And so you got throughout the track listings, and there's water themed tracks, like but it opens up with that sonar ping homing beacon of just this sparse ping, 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 and then it opens up with this tremolo pick guitar riff, this big bass line, and it just takes you on a journey of emotions throughout the track. Heavy, it's dynamic, it's emotional, it's vulnerable. And when I start a long drive, this is one of those records that I will listen to in its entirety. Like, I guarantee you that I will be listening to this tomorrow as I drive to Tennessee.
You
It's
just put
just
me
an
up. So
incredible record with some amazing tracks throughout it. And that's the other thing is like, it's such a strong record overall. And the other record that I was bounced, that I was so they was just tied with is it's different. It's older from it's what, '04, and I love that record too. But man, just like it became down to what do I listen to more on a daily
yeah,
or a weekly
exactly. Yeah,
basis?
yeah.
And this is just so special to me. And
Would you advise to listen to the quadrilogy from the first element, or just go towards that
I
one and
think
then go?
if you want to hear Evergrey for the first time, I think this is a really great representation of what they do. I think you
Okay,
can put this track on, start this record. It's up on Spotify. You can find it on YouTube and such. I think you could put this on, and immediately within the first 2 or 3 minutes, you're going to get a very strong sense of what this band is about. You like that whiskey over broke voice that Tom has with the darker riffs and the progressive, and some of those like they're a progressive band, but they're not Dream Theater. You know,
yeah,
they're riff
yeah, yeah.
based. They have fantastic, like they write quality songs that aren't music that aren't. And I love Dream Theater, by the way, so I'm not insulting them here. They're trying not to, but it's not that musical masturbation.
Yeah,
You know, it's song and substance, and they do a fantastic job of writing, crafting quality songs that keep you keep you wanting more. And this is such an amazing record. And so, as much as I wanted the other one, this is the one
this
that I
one
went
is
with.
this one is the one for you. Good choice.
Oh yeah,
I know I heard it somewhere. I don't know how long, but I have to go check. I have to go check it back. You just been selling me all your suggestions, to be honest with you. Uh,
but then
so
again, if somebody watches this and they go, "Man, I should check out some of these records," and we've just done our job, right?
yeah,
We've turned
exactly.
somebody on to something that they haven't
And
expected
don't
to hear
forget,
before.
it's just our opinion.
Yeah,
It's not the best 10
that's not
records.
about the best. It's like picking
Yeah,
between my dogs.
it's like 10.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like 10 suggestions from us.
it's 10
That's it.
suggestions that we
Yeah,
love from the bottom of our
yeah,
hearts.
yeah. That's it. That's it. So my ninth choice, is
Number
that how you
nine.
pronounce? You're going for number 9. So this is
It's
another
not the love
EP.
potion.
No, I'm going for another EP. I could have chosen the first album from them. And when I watched these guys live from the first time, they were opening in Lisbon for System of a Down. No one knew the guys besides me and a couple of friends of mine. And I was with a group of friends who weren't aware of this band, and I was always telling them, "You have to listen to these guys. You have to listen to these guys. These guys are fucking amazing." And the fact was, when they start the concert, everybody was like, "What the fuck is this?" Because that was the first reaction. And I'm talking about the Dillinger Escape Plan.
Mm.
And I'm going for the
Mm.
second EP because they have a first one which is entitled "The Dillinger Escape Plan," but the second one, which is called let me see if I don't say wrongly the name, "Under the Running Board," and it starts with a song called "The Mullet Burden,"
Yeah, it does.
and and I almost went to Calculating Infinity, which is their first album, and it comes just right after this one, and it starts like almost straight away, like it's probably the Great Silent Trendkill to post core or something like that, or mathcore. But this track starts with like kind of just a riff with a little bit of feedback, and you're not ready. If you don't know the band, you're not ready. For a couple of seconds, you're still in the safe zone. And when the drums start out, that fucking drummer, man, gosh, when the drumming starts out, that's when you just know, okay, this is going to be really fucking destructive. And that's it. And that's what I like most on the Dillinger Escape Plan, which is this EP and the album next. After that, they change the lead singer and they go toward more a little bit more experimental, a
Right.
little bit of this and that. But this one, which is just resumed to the hard part of the band, any one of them. But I would advise to listen if you don't know the band or this phase of the band. Just
Right.
check it out.
No,
The Lowest
absolutely.
Burden
When I
is like,
first heard them, I was like, "What?"
yeah, that's
And
that's the
I think
way.
that was the record that I first heard. Was just like, "What did I just hear?" It was
Yeah, exactly.
it was really one of those records that just flipped my mind.
You know,
And
when I heard Meshuggah for the first time, I was suggesting this to a friend of mine, and he suggested me Meshuggah.
mm,
He listened to a little bit. I think I had a Discman or something. I showed to him. He listened to a little bit, and it was like, "Fuck, Bruno, this is fucking amazing." Do you know this band Meshuggah? It's a little bit different, but I think you're gonna if you like this, you're gonna get this. So that's how I started listening to Meshuggah.
that's a great gateway to Meshuggah, to be honest.
Oh,
That
thank you.
really, really is. They're such a hard
And
band to
and
grasp at first.
I almost put Meshuggah in my list as well. But you can choose everything, and you have to resume into 10. And I did the same than you. The ones I still listen the most. That's it. So this is my ninth choice, the Dillinger
This
Escape Plan. Uh,
this this spot's been annoying me. I've changed it so many times. I've gone back and forth. I've changed it. I've gone back and forth. It's like
me as
I
well,
can go
man.
with a popular record. I can go with a record that's not popular that people won't know. So I'm going to go with a record that a lot of people haven't heard that I love to death.
Go ahead.
But originally I was going to go with a record that has been with me throughout my childhood or throughout my adolescence. And originally I was going to go with Nine Inch Nails and Pretty Hate Machine.
Oh,
But
that's amazing.
but
Yeah.
I pulled it off. And instead I took a chance on something that people might not hear from 2008. I pre-ordered the special edition version from freaking Denmark and paid $40 something for the limited version to get the one additional track on this record.
That's
The band is from Denmark. The album, or the band is Mercenary. The album is The Architect of Lies. The opening track is New Desire. It was the second record without Henrik Krall Andersen, the founder of the band, and the first record to feature co-vocalist Renee Rep Peterson on bass and vocals. And sadly, the last record to feature the Standagger brothers, Mikkel and Morten, on vocals and guitar, or vocals and keyboards, respectively. But this record is so good. And the New Desire opens up with this synth and this slowly building guitar riff, and it goes into this polyrhythmic, just locked in drum and guitar riff where they're just absolutely locked in together, and this big heavy riff with this really strong, almost power metal vocal. And it just shifts in and out of the heavier and the melodic elements so seamlessly, with such a hooky chorus. And this, one thing I found out noticed about this record is the way the tracks are set up. The odd tracks are all a little bit lighter, like they're a little bit less aggressive. The even tracks are all heavy. They're all heavy and like kick you in the nuts. So the even tracks come out swinging. The heavier tracks have bigger hookier verses or hookier choruses and big moments or more melodic moments or more ballady moments. And I pre-ordered the expensive version just to get the track Death Connection with
track
6, which is actually track 7. And if you look for it on Spotify, which you should, you need to go to the Recollections collection from Century Media, and you need to go down to the 3rd collection of tracks. Starts with New Desire, and because that actually has, there is the Architect of Lies up there, but it doesn't have, but it's the non-limited version, so it doesn't have Death Connection, which is one of my favorite tracks on the record. And I talked to their guitar player, and he said that they took it off for different reasons, but I think it's better with Death Connection on there, and the way the track moves from Endless Fall to Death Connection, you have that like big major or big minor song to a big major song in a major key, to a completely different mood. But the New Desire opens up, and honestly, if there wouldn't have been an instrumental, I probably would have picked the 11 Dreams record, which is just utterly stellar as well. But I wasn't going to pick an album that didn't have an actual song as an opening. So that's my 9. It's different. It's something you guys haven't heard. I could have easily stuck with 9 Inch Nails and been completely happy with that, because that's such a massive record for so many respects. But I'm really happy with this, and hopefully it gives you guys. Hopefully it gives you guys something different to check out.
That's it. Yeah. Well, I went with some obvious reasons, but you know what? If you guys enjoy this, we can make something like that once in a while. Let's see how it goes. So I'm going for my last one.
What do you got?
I'm going for my last one. I had to put this one. I was trying to avoid this one, but I had to put this one. And this is a really well-known record for lots of people. And it's Songs for the Dead. Songs for the Deaf from Queens of the Stone Age. And that beginning, which is not a new thing in music history, but that beginning with the radio, tuning the radio to try to find the right music. And when the first song hits, You Ain't Worth a Millionaire, something like that. It's a huge title. It's just the best way to put you into the mood to listen to that record from top to bottom. And it's one of those records that for me it's perfect. The record is perfect. Yeah, with the extra tracks, without the extra tracks. However you might listen to it, the record, it always sounds amazing. The last song was supposed to be Songs for the Dead or Songs for the Deaf.
Yeah.
Which is
soon, Dustin. Soon.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's pretty much into that vibe.
It's a great record, man. Yeah. It's a really strong record. It took me a while to get into Queens of the Stone Age, but when I finally did, it was incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, and especially if you're driving and listening to it, I think it's the best way of listening to the band. And I'm not a driver, but I've already experienced listening while someone's driving and you're listening to the song, and you go through this drive with that record as a soundtrack. It's completely different.
Feel like like going on a long walk or driving or doing something where you're really forced into, because you're doing you're task oriented, so you're doing with something, and this is basically forcing you to listen to this without any other distractions. Yeah. So like you're driving or you're walking or you're on like a train ride or something, you can just listen to it, and it really allows you to consume that record for an additional piece of stimulation. And it helped. One of the first things I do whenever I get a record is I listen to the album in its entirety.
Yeah.
And then I'll run it again, just to see what starts to fall, like what shakes from the proverbial tree, what starts to fall out and break out from the whole as individuals and come to me. And that's one of those records that I feel like really has to be that way. Like you're not going to absorb everything that it has to give you in the first listen. And it might even be off-putting the first time you listened to it?
I was already into the band when I listened to this one, so it was quite an evolution from the last album, which is already really, really good. But I wasn't into the band until I listened to this record. When I listened to this record, everybody was my friends were telling me
Awesome.
you have to watch. My friends were all telling me you have to listen to this one, man. This one is like amazing. I was like, oh, I like Queens of Stone Age, but I'm not a big fan of the band. They're cool and all that stuff. But this one, I don't know. I think you know what? I think it was really the drums, because they have Dave Grohl on this album,
Yes, they do.
and you notice the difference, man. You notice the difference, and that voice, Mark Lanigan, should sing more on the records. To be honest with you, I just love Mark Lanigan's voice, man, so much. But this is like, if you listen like more than once, that's what he said. You start like getting that notion. Okay, this is almost millimetrical. It has to be like this. It wouldn't
Right.
sound the same way if they didn't exactly like they did this from top to bottom. So I totally agree with you. This is my last choice. It's an obvious one, but there's always people who never heard about it, or are like into that kind of thing, or oh, it's not my kind of music. But yeah, just go ahead, take a listen, and then decide for yourself, man. That's it.
This is
Then-
another one
Yeah.
for me that was that swapped so many times, and I could have gone Nevermore here, and I was gonna go Nevermore here, but I had to go with a record that truly, in a song that truly hit me and stayed with me. And the older I get, the more relevant it becomes. The more relevant it becomes lyrically to me because of what it's about. The album comes from 1995. Once again, we visit Florida, little city called Tampa, to a man that we lost sooner than we should have.
No, I know who you're going to talk about. Go ahead.
We go to the band. We go to the band Death.
Yeah.
The almighty Chuck Schuldiner himself.
And I already know the album. Yeah.
The title track off that album.
It's amazing.
And that's Symbolic by Death.
Yeah.
Or as Chuck said on the 98 Live record, this one's about life. This one's called Symbolic. And one of the best lyric snippets that I realized, like, this is still my quote on so many on Facebook and MySpace and the interwebs and stuff. In need of a fix, called Innocence. And the older I get, the more I listen to those lyrics.
And it gets better.
Do you remember when heroes were so real, their magic frozen in time? The only way to learn is to be aware and hold on tight. The more you grow up, the more you long for those days of your youth. The more the innocence where you didn't have, where you remember what you felt like as a teenager. Like, I remember the first time I heard this record, and I thought, man, that's an amazing song. But the more every year I get older, the more relevant. Well, the more relevant the lyrics become. Because the farther removed you become from those times, the more adult you grow and the older you get.
I totally agree with you. Chuck was a genius, man.
Hey, this is swinging into that really philosophical stretch of his career, and it opens an utterly amazing record in Symbolic itself. But just those lyrics are just so relevant to me even now when I think about all those different memories of the childhood and my adolescence and whatnot when this came out in 95. And it transports me back to that place every time I hear it. So it's just, it had to be on the list. It had to be part of it.
I knew you were going to put at least a record from Death. So I'm not going to talk about Death. He's going to do it for sure.
So that's it for us, man. That's it for us. I want to take a look real quick at my buddy's top 10 because he's got some stellar stuff on there. Some overlap from us here. So some really cool choices as well. So one we already talked about, one that's on my record, or we'll go from 10 to 1. Dawson, hush. It's the very, and honestly, these guys almost made my list as well, and they probably would on another day. His number 10 is Alter Bridge with Cry of Achilles off of Fortress. Oh, amazing opening track, amazing record. Mark Tremonti for him, and even for me, just such a great guitar player. Really influenced a lot of Rob's personal style of how he grew up and experienced life, and really influenced him on how he plays. And it's just a brilliant record. He really picked records that affected him and helped grow him as a player and a musician and a fan. So the list starts off really, really strong at 10 with Alter Bridge and Cry of Achilles. Just an amazing opener with that big acoustic guitar intro to that huge, huge chorus. If you guys haven't heard that record yet, it should be one that you need to check out. I'm sorry, but you should want to. Number 9.
I agree. Go ahead.
Number 9. There's some overlap with my list here. Number 9 is Pantera with Cowboys from Hell. I'm sure you guys have probably heard Cowboys from Hell once or a few times.
That's a great choice, actually.
That's a great choice. Great choice.
It's one of the best openers, man.
Oh, it's so. I mean, it's got everything. It's got all the hallmarks that became Pantera: the swagger, the cockiness, the arrogance, the aggression, the fantastic stellar guitar work, the amazing drumming, the pissed off Texas vitriol.
Yeah.
and from him listening to Dimes playing, it really inspired how he heard music and went
that's
there.
Really cool. Yeah,
that's a good one. That's a great pick, right?
That's an amazing pick. It almost made my list as well, man.
Yeah, like it was like, to me, Vulgar from Pantera, Vulgar and Trent Killer
might be my favorite, yeah, and Far Beyond Driven as well. But like openers, I think
openers, Cowboys is so strong.
Your choice is even better, man.
Number 8 from him. They're on his. They didn't need to be on mine. What an amazing record this is. 1999. The band from the Seattle area, Washington. The band is Nevermore.
Okay.
The track is Narcosynthesis. The album is the utterly incredible Dead Heart in a Dead World.
That's really good.
That's a fantastic opening track.
That's a really great choice.
Oh, yeah, it's an utterly fantastic choice. That record as a whole, again, is utterly stellar. This incredibly dark dystopian theme. That song is so heavy with so much melody and whirls, just different, yet just amazing vocal talent and fantastic drum work. I think Van Williams is such an underrated drummer.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Yeah.
So I don't feel guilty because it was showing up with them. That's another record. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't spent time with it, Dead Heart and a Dead World is one that really deserves a listen. It deserves a spot of your time.
Great choice.
Another fantastic choice from Rob. Honestly, I think every choice he has on here is great. Number 7. Number 7 is another great one. It's a more popular choice from the mid 2000s, but it's an amazing record from start to finish. Breaking Benjamin and So Cold. Yeah. I remember hearing that on the radio right as I was getting ready to deploy, and I was just like, man, this record is awesome. It's a really strong record.
Yeah.
And it's sad that a lot of people don't know who they are anymore, but that's a fantastic mid-2000s record. He said that really inspired him for more catchy stuff. Dawson, I know, soon, bud, soon. Soon. He doesn't like canned air, so it'll help. I just have to shake it out a little bit and just go, hey, stop. But also go, how it's Hush Sam. I know, soon. And then number 6 was an awesome choice from him. He really guitar riff wise. It's a fantastic record and a great song. One that I kind of wanted to put on my list, but I don't love it as much as he does. It's the band Propane.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, the track "Make War Not Love."
I love it, man.
Big,
that's a great band.
Yeah, great band, great record.
Another one of those bands that it should be much more well known than it is.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's a strong, great band. Heavy, killer, crushing riffs, but some of that southern influence and just big, meaty. You just want to listen to those riffs, and the track is just it's pissed off, man. It's a great one.
With you. Yeah, I like that. That was a great choice, man.
His list is awesome, man. Like it's really good. That's why I wanted to mention. That's why I wanted to mention his list. Next one, he's a big fan of the guitar player. The guitar player is fantastic. It's a great record. I'm sure it's a record that you probably have kicking around somewhere. Number 5 for him is Stuck Mojo.
Oh, gosh. That's amazing, man.
And Not Promised Tomorrow.
That's amazing. It's a great band, man.
Great, killer guitar player. Yeah. Just like, he's doing his thing, making money now with Fozzy.
Yeah.
But he's such a great player. He's a great player. He's a great dude. He's so much fun. I've had a chance to hang out with him over the years. Comes up with fantastic riffs. And that record, again, it's got that rap metal thing going on, a bit of that hardcore mixed in. Yeah. That's a fun record, man.
They were one of the first bands doing it.
Yeah.
Usually, bands that were influenced by Stuck Mojo.
Right. Yeah.
And no one knows Stuck Mojo.
And Rich is just such a humble dude. You ever get a chance to meet Rich Ward running around? He's like the guy, and live, he's bonkers, man. He's all over the stage, dancing around with his guitar. I don't know how he manages to nail that stuff live because he thrashes like a madman. But that's a great record. But I saw that on his list. I was like, yeah, Bruno's gonna love that choice because that's really right up your alley.
Great choice, man. Great choice. I'm enjoying it.
Well, you're gonna love this one too because I know I do. This is certainly one of my favorite records of the '90s. A band that we've both mentioned a little bit but haven't put on our lists. Rob took care of it for us. From a guy named Rob. A record that I think just belongs on everybody's '90s list because the opening track is so goddamn strong, especially if you want to let freedom ring with the shotgun blast. Machine Head, Davidian, Burn My Eyes.
It's one of those, isn't it? I still don't have it on vinyl, but that album, man, album, goddamn, man.
Talk about a debut record. Especially at that point in the '90s.
I checked it from top to bottom again not too long ago, like a couple months or 3-4 months, that much ago. I just felt like, you know what? I want to listen to this from top to bottom one more time. Beastly. And goddamn, man, it's
what a record!
Like, it never gets old, man.
The mix still holds up today. Like the mix still holds up. The tracks are still so strong. And just like the way they mix the harmonics in there and the stuff they do guitar wise into that track, it's just it was a big influence on him, big influence on me.
Yeah, it was.
That's a badass record.
That's another great choice. I'm loving it.
Yeah, and his number 3, it covers one of the tracks that it covers. His last 3 are all bands that were on my list.
Okay.
2, the one is the same record, so we're not gonna have the last one. We don't have to cover because we've already covered it. But his number 3 is Evergrey.
Okay, yeah.
The track that I agonized with putting on my list is A Touch of Blessing off of the Inner Circle record. It was the first time he ever heard the band. It opens up with this clean guitar line and this big, beautiful melodic passage. And then it just kicks into this big, chuggy riff. And the chorus is huge. And like there's some amazing virtuosic guitar work. It's powerful. It opens up the Inner Circle record, which is written about a man who devolves into a religious cult.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Oh my God. The record is so dark. It's so deep. It's just chock full of utterly amazing tracks.
I know
and it's a strong
Evergrey,
record.
but I have to go and recheck on them, man.
Take
Because
your time.
you're talking about stuff that I already listened to, but I can't remember.
It's time to
I'm
go
being
back to
honest.
those
I'm being
records,
honest.
brother.
But I know
I
it's
love
good.
that record.
Back in my memory, I know what you're telling is true, man. It's
I
really,
love
really
that
good.
record. I
Yeah.
really, really do. And then, so no, his number 2 is a record that I came very close to going with. It's Iced Earth, and
Okay.
it's Dark Saga.
Yeah. I prefer your choice, though.
I love my choice too, but the Dark Saga record is incredible. And for those of
Yeah.
you that don't know, it was written about Spawn. So the whole
Okay.
record is basically a concept record about the
Yeah,
comic book
cool.
character Spawn.
I didn't know that.
And yeah, that's why the Spawn is on the artwork. That's why it's the album cover,
Cool.
because it's basically written about Spawn. Fantastic track. For me, the album mix holds it back a little bit. When I listen to those tracks, I tend to go to the Alive in Athens record instead. I just think the mixes are better, and I like the performances a little bit better. But amazing record, and it's a really good. It's one of the records that just, again, John Schaefer's riff work, his guitar playing really inspired Rob as a guitar player, and it's that heavier side of power metal, just bordering on thrash.
Okay. Cool.
And that's why I like them so much, is because it was so hard for me to get into power metal that I heard Iced Earth, and I'm like, oh, I can get political issues aside.
They still have a different vibe, too.
Right? But there's that thrashy edge.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing that makes me like Iced Earth more than any of the bands associated with the power metal sound, because they have that thrashy.
So it plays
it's
to
like power metal, but for badasses, man. It's really
right. It's not that like happy. It's not like the happy candy, like chocolatey nougat, like European power metal. It's heavier. It's more aggressive. There's more to it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great choice. It's a great record, and the closer on that record is truly one of my favorite album closers, with The Question of Heaven. Just a brilliant way to close a record. And his number 1, well, we already talked about it. His number 1 is Metallica and Blackened.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Yeah, don't know what else to say there other than thank you, my brother, for talking about it and bouncing stuff off with me. Rob, I truly appreciate you. A great, fantastic list. It's got stuff that I love. It's got stuff that Bruno loves.
That was really good. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting.
Right.
When he started with the 10th and start winning up, I was thinking, well, this is not going to be like my thing. I know it's going to be good records, but not onto my choice. But then he started like going with Stuck Mojo.
Yeah, the Pantera, the Propane, the Stuck Mojo, the Machine Heads.
Yeah.
Stuff that's absolutely your thing.
Great choices.
And again, some of those are records that some people out there who are fans of us would not necessarily have had a chance to hear.
Yep.
And I highly endorse those records, man. That Propane record is so good. Stuck Mojo, if you're into that thing and you haven't heard them, I don't know what you've been doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if you're into rap metal, why haven't you heard them?
Yeah. If you're into rap metal and you don't know Stuck Mojo, man, I'm not gonna say the rest. You should. And
there's there's stuff that I would have loved to have put on there as well. Yeah. You Can't Bring Me Down from Suicidal Tendencies with Lights Camera Action. Of course, that's one of the best openers of the '90s, in my opinion. Like that should have. Like there's other stuff that we certainly could have put on there that are so strong.
Yeah, I had a lot more choices, but we can change the theme for the next one before we go to the second part of the openers.
Rob and I were talking last night back and forth, and he's like, we're gonna have to do different stuff, and we just started talking about other stuff. It's like, and I was like, at one point I was like, dude, he's like, oh, well, we should do 90s and we should do rock. And then we're naming different stuff, and we're trading different records for like an hour and a half on Facebook Messenger. And I was like, Rob, in the Army, we have a term we call for people. We call them Blue Falcons. I'm like, it stands for buddy fucker. Because at this point, you're making me think, like my whole world is thrown off. Because then it's like that I'm thinking about like bands like Dope with Group Therapy and just all sorts of other stuff. And when I start thinking about other styles of music, man, there's so much. There's a whole world of amazing records.
For 10 or 11 different choices, and they would have been as great.
Right, you would have been happy with every single one.
Yeah, exactly. But I went with the thing you said. Let's go towards the ones I still listen the most, and this is honestly the ones I still listen the most. I listen a lot when they come out, but I still listen to them a lot, and that was my choice. It was a personal choice, more a personal choice than
absolutely
really the best of the best. So that
right. It was difference between, for me, it was the best as opposed to what I absolutely love and what I truly enjoy, and what might make good talking points to discuss with you and to share with people that might not have had a chance to hear some of this stuff, or to hear about it in a positive light. So I think I'm an overthinker, and this was such a fun mental exercise to start going back through stuff. And when I drove back from Dallas, about 3.5 hours worth of driving, and it was like, I'm gonna listen to these records going out, and I'm gonna listen to them going back. How do I feel about them? But that certainly changed records that I put on here. It made me go back to stuff that I haven't heard in a while when I was thinking about it, and and then of course thinking about like alt rock records and whatnot, like the 90s alone, man, there's so many ways I could go for just like 90s alternative stuff, because there's so many.
And you could go for 100th list.
Oh my God. Like
I still wouldn't fit everything, to be honest with you.
I could do nothing but like 90s alt rock and grunge and still have like 30 records, because there's so many great records that came out of that scene. I mean, a couple bands that started out as heavy, like hardcore bands, and went softer with like I could have slotted Grave Dancers Union by Soul Asylum, or
this being a hardcore band,
same with Goo Goo Dolls, like they were a hardcore band.
Yeah.
And then
I still like the commercial song, the hit single,
Iris. I still think A Boy Named Goo is stronger with like Name and that kind of stuff, but
the changes.
So brother, this one was so much fun to do with you, my friend. And the question I think both of us have is, to those of you who watched the video and get through it, what are your lists? What did we miss? Put it down there and let us know. Let's who knows, we'll probably revisit this, and let us know if you enjoy this type of dialogue between the two of us, and you want to see more content coming from us together, because I know we certainly enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't mind to do things like this more often, man. That's really, it's so easy going. We don't have to plan anything. We just have to get a theme, and then that's it.
Yeah,
we just get an excuse to be here talking. So
we get to be two musicians, two fans, and just geeking out over the topic that we absolutely love, and it's so near and dear to our hearts, and something we dive into every single day of our lives.
Like, nerd for nerds, basically. If you want to put it that way. Yeah, but it's all about passion, man. That's why we go along so well. It's easy to speak about music. We could be here for days in a row, honestly.
And over the next few years, I'm sure we will be. I'm sure this isn't gonna, I'm sure we're gonna, because the feedback from you guys last week was fantastic, and these are certainly going to go on. I figured it was probably going to be an hour and a half plus, and it became an hour and a half plus. But I mean, it's a fun conversation. It's something I hope you guys can enjoy and put on in the background, or something. You don't have to have the video of us. You can just set it up and listen to it and
I,
hopefully
oh,
enjoy yourselves.
what do you say if we just do this like part two and part one and part two? Probably
Do that.
five
Yeah,
in
break off the
one,
first,
five
like
in
break off the
two.
first six, and then break
Yeah,
the second
yeah,
one. Man.
probably something like that. I'll think about it, but I think it's gonna be cool. Do you
We're
want
gonna
to say
close. We're gonna
last quote
close
or
this
something?
for. We're probably, and Bruno and I will probably talk offline for a little bit, but
Yeah,
we won't keep
for
this.
sure.
We won't keep this going for you guys. So I do want to say once again, thank you to my brother Bruno here, my long lost brother from another mother on another continent,
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
for
That's how
sharing
I
this
feel
with
it.
me again, sharing his space, and honestly, not only that, but making me excited about doing content again.
No,
Like
that's cool.
this is
That's what I
this is
feel
such a great
honored.
way. This is such a great way for me to come back and spend my time with you guys again. So thank all of you who watched this. Thank you, Bruno and his wife for putting
Thank
up
you,
with
man.
him, for him putting up with me taking some of his time. I appreciate you guys. Love you very much.
And leave suggestions. If you like this and you want us to talk about other stuff, just leave it. Just leave it. Write it down. Put a comment. Whatever. Tell us to fuck off if you want. The just interact. Just say whatever you have in mind, and we're curious about your list as well. What is your 10 best opener albums?
Just 10
Okay,
favorites.
we're curious. Anything, just put whatever you want to. Okay, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and see us pretty soon. I believe so. There we go.